Good day to each and everyone, especially to our dearest instructor, Sir Jacob, sir. Our topic was all about the disaster management cycle. The disaster management cycle can be and often is portrayed in various forms. Moreover, alternative terminology may be used. The important factor is that the format should indicate that disaster and managing it is a continuum of interlinked activity. It is not a series of events which start and stop with each disaster occurrence. So when we say disaster management cycle, it is a monitoring or it is a series of events that repeated in the same order. So from its alternative terminology, paulit-ulit na mangyayari or pabalik-balik. So ito yung pag-aaralan natin ngayon. And also it is a interlink or continuum interlink activity which is connected with each other. And also, it is not a series that pwede mo siyang i-stop kung kailan mo gusto. It is not a series of event which start and stop with each disaster occurrence. Hindi mo masasabi na darating siya ng itong panahon or although nalalaman natin kasi may mga warning na dumadating, but still we need to prepare. And in this chapter, malalaman natin kung anong cycle na nangyayari sa isang disaster o isang trahedya. So, we have here the basic and alternative format of the management cycle. In the figure 1, we have the basic format. The disaster impact, kung anong impact na nangyari sa isang trahedya, kung anong naging resulta. Response, kung paano mag-response yung mga people, kung ano yung ginawa nila. And then recovery and development is pwede silang or as one sila, or they are interlinked activity, or they are connected together. And then next is the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness, na kung saan ginagawa na. Nalalaman na natin na ganito pwede natin gawin. Kapag dumating yung ganito ang gagawin natin. Kapag may darating na sakuna, ganito na naman. So, ito yung sa figure 1, which is the basic format of the disaster management. In the figure 2, we have here the alternative format of the disaster management cycle. So meron tayong ditong impact, na kung anong impact na nangyari sa isang sakuna, kung anong naging epekto. And then we have here the response. Under the response, we have here the emergency phase, na kung saan paano sila nag-respond sa after mangyari yung sakuna, yung mismong pangyayari, or after a minutes that happened in that trahedya. And then we have here the recovery. Under the recovery, we have here the restoration and reconstruction. Kung paano sila nag-recover or paano nila restore. Halimbawa po, may bahay silang nasira. So paano sila gumawa kung paano sila gumawa ng kahit na maliit na kubo lamang na kanilang matutuluyan, restoration, or paano nila ayusin kung may konting dulot man, or kung may konting nangyari man or dulot ng sakuna sa kanilang bahay. And then we have here the national development and prevention and mitigation. So, composition of main activities. We have here post-disaster view. Should be carried out as early as practicable in the recovery period. This state is when the disaster has already occurred, or and the government is involved in the rescue activities, which is yung sakuna nangyari or disaster na nangyari is tapos na at na-involved dito kung paano gi-rescue ng under the government employee or kung paano na sila na-rescue. Result of exercise or simulations. Provided exercises or simulations are accurately evaluated and the lessons from them are correctly drawn, they can exert influences similar to those of post-disaster review. They can be directed toward testing a particular part within the disaster management cycle. Their lesson can be more accurately defined than is sometimes the case with post-disaster review. So dito po is may mga lesson or may mga guide na silang nalalaman kung if ever na mangyari man ulit yung sakuna or ang disaster na iyon. The next one here is prevention. Chapter 14. So this prevention is ma-discuss din siya in the chapter 14 of this book. So it is the action within this segment is designed to impede the occurrence of a disaster and prevent such an occurrence having harmful effect on communities or key installations. So from its term prevention, prevent, kung paano sila mag-prevent, paano sila mag-ready, kung anong prevention ang gagawin nila so that hindi na mangyayari sa kanila ulit yung kung anong nangyari sa kanila dati na hindi sila ready or walang prevention na naganap. The following are usually classified as preventive measure. Constructing a dam or lid to control floodwater so that the latter cannot adversely affect people, buildings and other installations, livestock, means of production and subsistence and so on. So one of the preventive measure is yung pag-construct ng mga dam or yung mga pwedeng daluyan ng tubig na maaaring makatulong na hindi masyado or hindi mag-wide, hindi mag-spread yung tubig sa kabahayan, especially yung sa mga mabababang lugar and also installation in building. For example is yung paggawa ng fire exit so that if ever na may mga mangyayari mang sakuna or may mga trahedya mang mangyayari is madali or mabilisan ang paglabas sa sa bahay. And also yung kung may sunog naman is yung pag-install ng fire extinguisher na makaka-help sa person in the house, so sa isang bahay. This one here is we have a mitigation which is ma-discuss din siya sa chapter 15 of this book or mas maraming information doon sa chapter 15 of this book. So it is an action within this segment usually takes the form of specific programs intended to reduce the effect of disaster on a nation or community. The term mitigation more generally implies that while it may be possible to prevent some disaster effect, other effects will persist but can be modified or reduced provided appropriate action is taken. Mitigation means is to make less severe or to reduce the effect of that disaster in that community. For example, ito is may mga form of specific program. Yung mga halimbawa nito is yung sa school, di ba, nararanasan natin na may mga bumibisita na mga PNP to discuss kung anong dapat gawin sa isang sakuna na mangyayari. Halimbawa, lindol. Naga-lecture sila or ginadiscuss nila kung anong dapat gawin. Duck, cover, and hold. Ganun po, di ba? So, ito yung sa mitigation. May specific programs na naga-help magturo kung, or ginasabi nila kung anong dapat gawin if ever that disaster might happen. The next one here is we have preparedness, chapter 16. So it's usually regarded as comprising measure which enable governments, organizations, communities, and individuals to respond rapidly and effective to disaster situation. Example of preparedness measures are formulating and maintaining valid and updated counter-disaster plans which can be brought into effect whenever required. Special provision for emergency action such as evacuating population or moving them temporarily to safe havens, providing warning systems, public education and awareness, emergency communications and training programs including exercise and tests. From its term preparedness or pagpreparado, kasama dito sa pag-prepared ang pag-prepare ng emergency kit na kung saan merong flashlight, canned goods, and etc. And also preparedness can help individual to at least listen or kahit papaano maigsan ang sakunang darating or sakunang mangyayari. Some disaster management cycle may divide the preparedness segment into sub-segments such as warning, threat, and precaution. So warning, the time or period when a hazard has been identified but it is not yet threatening a particular area. So warning is, halimbawa nito ay nagabigay na sila ng warn message or na nila sa mga radyo na there's possibility na mangyayari ang ganito. So, makapag-prepare na kayo. So, the next one is threat. The time or period when a hazard has been identified and is assessed as threatening a particular area. So, the threat is nalalaman na kung saang particular area, kung anong particular na place ang kung saan mangyayari, kung ano or particular place na mangyayari ang isang sakuna na iyon. So that makakapag-prepare na sila and makakapag-evacuate habang with the and also dala-dala na nila yung mga emergency kit na kakailanganin nila. The last one here is the precaution. Action taken after receipt of warning to offset effect of disaster impact. Such action might include closing offices, school, and etc. Bringing emergency power generation to readiness. Cutting crops to avoid total loss from high winds and heavy rain. Making safe boat and vehicle, and taking household precautions such as storing emergency water supplies. So sa precaution naman, dito na yung mga closing of offices and school, and also na-cancel na yung kung anong appointment ang mangyayari. Tapos yung mga matataas at matatayog na puno ay puputulin para if ever na matumba man ito, hindi magkukos or wala masyadong maaapektuhan na bahay. Making safe boats and vehicles. Halimbawa nito is yung mga taong naninirahan sa or nakatira sa na dumadaan pa sa tubig is maaari na silang lumikas or gumawa ng bangka na kanilang sasakyan at dahan-dahan nang i-evacuate kung ano ang kailangan i-evacuate.